Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where today's show is Authentic Achievements. And I'm delighted to say that I'm going to be joined shortly by Holly B. Gutwinlinger, who is a heartfelt writer who was born and raised in a small town in northern Ontario. She's a proud dog mom to 2 rescue dogs and 1 cat, and loves incorporating them in her stories, drawing inspiration from the animals she has the privilege to adopt. She's currently working on her debut novel alongside other creative projects, and she's completed a creative writing classes through the University of Toronto School of Continuing Studies Creative Writing Programme, and received a certificate in creative writing from Sir Stamford Lemming College, easy for me to say, and she's currently pursuing her Masters of Fine Arts in Fiction. So I'm delighted. Holly B, please come and join us.
Good morning, Kim. How are you?
Oh, I'm so looking forward to this. And I've already got so many questions. Before I get into all of my questions, Holly, welcome and thank you for joining us. And there's so many interesting things in your story. Could you start by bringing it to life a little bit for us?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. A few years ago, I was in the backyard and my dog was bouncing towards me. This was one of my 2 rescue dogs. And I have tried everything to help my dogs have the best life they can, but they've both come with a lot of anxieties and fears and issues. And I'd always been trying to find that next thing that would help them. And so one day we're sitting in the backyard. It's a beautiful sunny day. And Sully was bouncing towards me down the walkway, and his ears were bouncing and his tail was just wagging. And in that moment, I, heard in his voice, he said a few words to me like, "It's okay. I'm okay. You don't need to fix me. You just need to accept me." And that is the beginning of this entire story for me, because I allowed that moment to evolve into something very different, which was poem after poem, stanzas, if you want to call them, some heartfelt writing. And that evolved into chapters and then an entire book, which surprised me. So that's the origin story of that small piece.
Oh, I love that. I think sometimes we can get that inspiration, can't we, from real life, from those moments. And if we just embrace it, run with it, it's amazing. It's amazing where it can take us, isn't it? And I think it's I love that it didn't start out as a book and it evolved to a book. I had similar happen to me last year. I wrote a story for my child and didn't expect it to become anything else, and it did. So I love this North of Broken and Forever Home. It's just, I just love the whole concept, and that part where you acknowledge that you don't need to fix, you just need to accept. Because I think that's true of our children, whether they're fur babies or non-fur babies. They want us to accept them wholeheartedly and keep them safe. Would that be fair?
Absolutely. And I mean, it took me several years to come to this realization, because my dogs are now stepping into their 12th year or so. You never quite know with rescues, but it took me a very long time to get to that point where I stopped trying to fix the problem. And it has changed my relationship with my dogs. I sit with them more. I enjoy our quiet time in the morning more. And that has also spilt over into my life. And with, as you mentioned, that it didn't start with the book. My goodness, no, it didn't. I certainly never, ever expected this. It was the support of my friends and my family that encouraged me to continue.
I love that, because I think sometimes it's those. You're doing it from a very personal space, and actually, it's not to go anywhere else. It's not to be anything else. But I think that's what makes it so beautiful, because people will say, how did you make it so realistic? Well, because it's your journey. It's you and your dog's journey. So that's why it's realistic. It's why it is relatable, because it isn't made up.
Right. And I mean, it did start out as nonfiction. I was writing it as my story, because how else would I tell the story of my dog? But then I realized I really wanted to give Sully a voice and anthropomorphize him. If I probably did not say that properly, but so I wanted to give Sully a voice. And in doing so, I realized that I could get a little bit more creative. I knew of his rescue story, so I was able to elaborate on that. But giving him the voice was quite an elaboration, and I'm asking readers to set aside their judgment, of course, and listen to a talking dog. He doesn't talk to people, just to other dogs. So then I fictionalized it, and then I created new characters. Is she based on me? Probably, in a lot of different ways, of course. It's very hard to step away from that altogether. I put a lot of Easter eggs in there that, if you know me very well, you'll probably pick up on them. But otherwise, it is fiction.
I love that, because it is that piece. I love also that you gave your dog a voice. It's made me smile, only because we often, as me, myself, and my little girl Scarlett, and our dog Pudding, and we often will be Pudding. So it's like, and Pudding says this, because it seems to match what his facial expression is doing. You get real feel for it, and it's we chat to him. We will talk to him, and I think he does understand. And you see when they're concentrating, when they're trying to kind of work out what you're saying, or to let you know that they're trying to tell you something as well. And I think it does change that whole relationship, doesn't it? Once you embrace that, once you're willing to go, this is another living thing that just wants to be loved. And
I sorry, Kim.
I was going to say, and wants to be protected.
Yes, absolutely. And I more and more people are telling me that they will sit there and have a version of their dog's voice, and they'll speak on their behalf. And I find that so cute. Funny enough, I don't do that, but I've gotten to know my dogs very well as we've spent, 10 years together. And even this morning, 4 a.m., Sully was afraid of a blinking light that happened to come on one of those sensor lights. So he came into the basement, and he doesn't sleep near us. He sleeps away from us, but he was afraid. And I knew that. And I knew it was the light. And the second I went up and turned off the light, he was fine. He went back up to his spot, but that was his way of telling me. So if we do stop for a moment and just take notice, I think that we'll see that they do communicate in many different ways, just not through words.
Yeah, that so resonates, because with both my little girl and Pudding, they're quite funny. You see similar traits in them. So if one of them thinks they're getting more attention than the other, they go and do something that they know is going to get them in trouble, and then they'll both peek around, and it's like, are you just getting jealous of each other? It's like there's two sides of me on the sofa, just on the other side.
There's enough of me to go around.
But once you say that to them, then they kind of get it, and it's very often the dog that gets it, not the child.
Of course.
Walks around. She's kind of like in that whole we've won. But I imagine, because so many people have got animals, and as you say, so many more people are seeing them as a greater part of the family than just a pet. So do you find there's quite a lot of people that are really intrigued and interested in kind of what you're doing, and how you've brought him to life through your relationship and your experience?
What I do find very interesting lately is I'm new in the book sales area and the marketing. And so I have been taking on vendor shows, local vendor shows, trying to, publicize my book in smaller towns because I am from a small town. But what I have noticed is when I'm standing on the other side of the table and I'm talking to a reader, a potential reader, and I'm able to tell them what the story is about and that they are my dogs, that is the moment they connect with me. And then, of course, their story comes out with their animals, their dogs, cats, farm animals. And so, yes, when I'm very selective about where I will sell my book based on the interest. I wouldn't sell at necessarily a flower shop.
Yeah.
But if it's a vendor show that I know where animal enthusiasts will be, then I'll hopefully capture my audience. But more and more, I'm seeing them come out, and especially I've been talking to people over on my podcast, and people light up when they get to speak about their pets, and it's quite something. I've noticed such a shift during the last 6 years about how we treat our I'll speak specifically to dogs and cats, but they, like you said, Kim, they have become an extended part of our families, and we do treat them differently. They're not the same as when I had a dog when I was 10 years old. The dog was a dog, and they were outside most of the time. So I don't know if that makes sense, but
It does, and it so resonates because like my mum happens to have my dog's brother, um, and it's which is lovely, from the same litter. But my mum also treats her dog like a member of the family. So we've confused the entire family because he is my brother and Scarlett's uncle. he's also
that's right.
he's also Pudding's brother. So we're like, yeah, no, that's one for somebody to unweave on another episode. But it's because they've become such a core part of
Mhm.
our extended family.
Exactly.
And I think it brings you, it does bring in a different element, doesn't it? And for me personally, I love your thoughts on this. It's really helped me as a single mum of an only child to
Mhm.
teach her sharing, to help
Yes.
her realize that there has to be, it can't just be what you want to do, and actually you do have to consider. I mean, I'm really lucky. She feeds him. She lets him out. She makes sure he's got water. So she takes real accountability.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's taught her invaluable skills.
Well, and how to care for another living being as well. That is a very large, like, life skill.
Yeah,
And, I mean, I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with us treating them like they're family members. I always have. And so everybody's just catching up to what I think. But I also do respect the fact that they are dogs and that I need to be a responsible owner. And through the years, we've had different issues with both of them. Cash is more assertive than Sully. Sully's not assertive at all, but there were moments where we had to be the responsible dog owner. I mean, I've put up an entire fence. We don't go to dog parks for a reason, although he's mellowed in his senior years. But I do understand that there is a fine line and there are boundaries there. But when we're at home, he's allowed on my couch, and many people would shake their finger at me and say, "Oh my goodness, I would never do that." But that's okay. That's what they would do in their home. But in my home, your dog's welcome on my couch.
yeah. I love that, and that does so resonate, because I think sometimes, I always think everybody's entitled to do what they want to do in their home.
Yes,
And in my home, it's his home too.
that's right.
So if for me, I'm not going to judge anybody else. They can do what they want. That's their home. That's their
Mhm,
choice. But in
mhm.
ours, he's part of the family. Therefore, he gets up on the sofa with us and muscles in for his part. And
Turns
I,
around 3 times and then
why do they do that?
I don't know. I just bought this really nice, outdoor rocking chair that I've put in our basement because it's just so cushy and soft, and we both get to cuddle in there. But he was by himself, and he spun around. My husband and I counted 10 times until he finally plunked down into the chair, and I don't understand it. I wish they could
Yeah,
explain that somehow.
It would be lovely, wouldn't it? Because it puts us the same, and it goes to all the effort, and then sits down, and the minute one of you moves, he has to get back up again. You're like, you've just sat down.
Yeah, what was the point?
I just got you down. Lovely, stay where you are for a minute. I'm literally going to pick something up from the other side of the room, but they have, well, maybe it's more pudding than anybody else, but he wants to be constantly with you. He wants to know, and that's possibly part of his. I'm asthmatic, so I've got a cockapoo, so that they're allergenic. And somebody did say what you basically get with a cockapoo is a stalker. Wherever you go, they go.
That's hilarious. I love it.
It is true.
Yeah. Well, mine too, though. He's 65 pounds and he's a lap dog. So.
But you wouldn't change them, would you? Because they bring such joy, and I so love the thought of kind of the story from them, because I think dogs are so expressive in their little faces and their actions, that you can just imagine there's a wealth of story potential in putting yourself in their shoes, trying to see it from their perspective almost.
And I've also stopped and pondered on the fact that they don't have words. And so there's some beauty in that as well. I mean, yes, we do tend to give them voices. I'm not the first book that has anthropomorphism in it. There will be many others as well. But there is a certain beauty in the fact that they can't speak to us, and that we do have to communicate using other modalities. And so lately I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, why is that, right? I feel like in millions of years, dogs will talk, and they'll probably be walking on their hind legs and whatnot, because it feels like we're bringing them through evolution in such a different way right now. But I don't know, sometimes when we sit there in silence, I just think, there's a reason why you don't talk, but it's all through your eyes.
Yeah. Well, they can sense so much, can't they? They can, they can sense your emotions. They can tell. Sometimes go, Mummy, why is he licking me so much today? And it's like, because he can tell you're upset. So, if she's fallen over earlier in the day, and he's just trying to let her know he loves her. And she's like, but how does he know? And I was like, because you're clearly upset, Luffy. And he doesn't have the words to tell you. So he just comes and spends more time with you. He comes and shows you love in the way he knows how to show you love. And I think that's, they do sense, like if you're in a sad mood, or they kind of seem to take on that almost like that protector space where they're going to be with you to help you. And you think, God, they're such fascinating animals.
They really are. If you just watch their ears and their eyes and their tail, but really sit in their face and their eyes, it is very telling. Yeah.
And I love how they have got such different personalities. It strikes me so much with my mum's dog and mine being from the same litter. So they're exactly the same litter, and yet Pudding is like a hyperactive puppy. Everybody that meets him, when they say how old, and I go 4, and they're like, months. I'm like, years. Because he's still like, he bounces and thinks he's a kangaroo. He's like, he's very in your face. But he obviously has been brought up in a house with, the time we had him, a 5-year-old, and watched her grow. Whereas Teddy spent his life with my mum, and until a couple of years ago, my dad, who was most of the time wheelchair bound, and therefore was a much calmer environment. And so Teddy is like a little grumpy old man. He's got the persona of it and everything. Like,
that's very interesting.
It's fab. So they come along and they adore each other. But when you come back, if you've had to go out somewhere and they're both together, you come back. Pudding thinks he's a kangaroo, so he literally throws himself at the door and then slides down it, and throws himself at the door and slides down it until you can get to him, because there's a glass door. Teddy dances on his back legs at the bottom, looking up at him like, "What are you doing? What on earth?"
It seems like a lot of work.
That looks like a lot more effort than I think we'd need to. So it's funny how two dogs from exactly the same, just like siblings, I guess.
Absolutely,
have such very distinct personalities in their approach in life, and even the way they hold themselves. And you can almost get from Teddy a bit of a roll your eyes when somebody does something a bit. It was often pudding, to be fair. You could almost see Teddy go,
Not again.
it's a bit too much.
Oh,
So do you, I mean, obviously you must see that a lot, because in what
absolutely.
you're doing, you must spend a lot of time observing dogs, not just your own, but other people's. Would that be fair?
Very fair. In fact, I've spent far too many hours at the dog park in Toronto. My youngest son lives there. And we would just go visit the dog parks because they have the most amazing parcels of property that are very bougie for the dogs. And I would sit on the sidelines and just watch. And funny enough, I've been asked several times, like, oh, which one is your dog? And my son would, sort of turn his head the other way because we would laugh. Because I'd say, well, I don't really have one. I enjoy it. I enjoy sitting there and watching them play. And I do find the city dogs are so well behaved because they're very much socialized. So,
Yeah.
yes, I have sat and observed so many dogs, and they do have their favorite breeds there in the city as well.
Yes. It's interesting, isn't it, how those interact with each other. We've got a little dog park down here, and actually, I think equally how people with dogs interact. We've got our own little WhatsApp group where people will just message to say they're going to be there, but we don't say we're going to be there. We say the dog's going to be there. Pudding's going to be at the PEV in half an hour if anyone's interested in joining. And the responses, and I love it because it's like it just increases the whole community. But they'll come back with their dog's name will be there, or so and so is just and it's like we've really organised this little social for them, albeit obviously we all get on and have a good chat as well. But you see their little personalities in it, and it strikes me very much as being very similar to when I used to go to play groups with my little girl, and you'd observe their little personality traits.
True.
And I guess that brought it home a lot more to me that they are little characters of themselves with little personalities that, just like the rest of us, want to be understood and accepted and included.
Yes.
And so I love that the book's helping to crystallize that.
Yes. Well, and I mean, it is, when asked what's a message, and at first, when I first started working on this project, I thought it would be rescuing the dog. Who rescued who? There's that famous bumper sticker. The dog rescue the human. Did the human rescue the dog? But in the end, I discovered that, and I come back full circle to when we first started chatting, that acceptance is really what stands out for me. Because when I finally accepted where both of my current dogs were at, I was able to move through it, and our relationship is better for it. But also through other parts of my life, I accept who I am. I mean, the critic is still there a lot of times, but I just accept situations, people more readily than I did before.
I love that, because that's quite a hard piece of work to do, isn't it? That journey back to ourselves, that journey back to accepting ourselves. It doesn't mean to say we're not going to still keep trying to improve on the areas that maybe we don't like about ourselves as much, but accepting ourselves for who we are is such a life shift, isn't it?
It really is. And I had coffee with some neighbors from before, and we're all around the same age. And, we joke about, we wonder if it's the age now, because people will often say that, oh, when you reach a certain age, you don't care anymore. And excuse me, perhaps there's some truth in that. Well, no, there is truth in that. But it's also life experiences and what you accumulate along the way. And I just think that the things that I used to fret upon or get upset about or frustrated, it's just not worth it. And I wouldn't have known that back then because I had to live through it to know that. So there is a season in your life and a time in your life for different moments, for acceptance, for all the feelings. So I feel like I'm definitely stepped into the acceptance phase. I hope so. Yeah.
Oh, and I think it strikes me that you have, and I think one of the things that I've learned in life is that it only really makes sense in the rearview mirror. It's only when you've gone through it, you're able to reflect back on it, knowing what you now know, that you can see what the lesson was, or the blessing, because the lesson usually is a blessing eventually, even if it didn't feel like it at the time that you were learning it. And I think it is that series of lessons that kind of just build on each other, and some make you question what you'd previously been told. I mean, I remember for me personally, one of my favorites was, I was brought up with the phrase "curiosity killed the cat."
Oh yes, I remember that one.
And I thought that was the phrase. And it wasn't until I was researching my book last year that I realized that actually that's only half the phrase.
Oh.
And the actual phrase is "curiosity killed the cat and satisfaction brought it back." So curiosity killed the version of itself that it was, but the satisfaction it got from what it learned and how it grew brought it back to life as its new version. Well, for me, that was a real game-changing moment.
Well, yes.
Like, oh my goodness. So I've only looked at half of these things before. So I wonder what would happen if I looked at the other half of these things. So what else could be? Where else are they? And it probably becomes really something that I'm really conscious of and really intentional, because I've got a little one, and she is only 9, and so you kind of you hear all those stories that you shape them by 7, and it's all gonna get into 40, and it all feels very real, very like, oh my goodness, what might I be doing or saying or being that's going to shape something that she needs to relearn or unlearn or see a different version of later on, because we don't do it intentionally. We do it through best endeavors, but unwittingly we can often make things worse, can't we? Create a voice in their head that isn't the voice we'd like them to have.
Definitely. And it's funny that you bring that up, because recently I was chatting with both of my sons and I said, I feel like your dad and I have been great parents and we've tried our best, although I hope we didn't, I can't remember my exact words, but I hope we didn't mess things up too terribly for you. And it was a good conversation, because they were like, no, you did great, but they still have their own thoughts, their own stresses, their own anxieties, and not necessarily ones that we have given to them, but it's just life. And so they need to move through their own experiences, even though as the mother, gosh, I really didn't want any of that stuff to happen to them. So of course I tried to shelter them in different ways, and what's a good way, what's not a great way. But inevitably, they have to live their own lives, and they have to move through some of those moments, and they'll have to look back and realize that they learned through that experience. So it's, we do the best we can. And I often visit that with my sons, thinking, okay, did I give that to you? Did I give you that worry? And like, Mom, don't worry about it.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like our intentions are always honorable, even if our impact might be slightly off. I mean, I remember learning something I'd done to help my little girl, at least I thought it was to help my little girl, was every time if she had a nightmare, my initial response was always to go, oh, don't worry, there's nothing there. There aren't any monsters, there isn't any of this. And then I found out that actually that teaches them they can't trust their own emotion. I was like, oh, I wasn't doing it for that reason. I was doing it because I didn't want her to be upset. Whereas now, based on what they told me, it's a case of going, well, I'd be scared if there was wolves. Yeah, I would feel like you felt if there were wolves. I don't think there are wolves, but if there were wolves, I would feel just like you. Should we look together and just check that there aren't any, so that you go, actually, you can trust that emotion, but I can now let you know that wasn't happening. Right. But again, we do these things. Our intention was honourable. It was, always. I don't want you to be scared. I don't want you to be upset. Like you said, I could wrap her up in cotton wool, but I know I can't, and I know that she has to experience the world for herself and make sense of it. And I guess all we can do is be the safe space for them to work it out.
Yes.
For them to process whatever has gone on for them.
Yes.
And feel protected in that moment whilst they work it through for themselves.
Yes.
And it's very similar to what we need as the adult as well, isn't it? Is to know we're safe.
Exactly. I mean, my adult sons, I would love if they lived with me for the rest of my life. I just want to, be in their space, but it's been very difficult to let go of that. I call it mumming them, or giving them the mom speeches. And so I've really had to pull back and allow them to experience life on their own and accept that they are adults now and they're no longer those little boys that we did everything for, and move into a different phase of our relationship, which I do. I respect it. I appreciate it. I love it. But it's because I've accepted where they are at. And that was just recently because they are in their mid-20s. So, yeah.
And that, I can only imagine how hard that is. I mean, I'm not there yet. She's only 9. But
Yeah.
I went through that little bit of a stage a couple of years ago when I think I called her my baby, and she was like, "Mummy, I'm not a baby anymore." And I was like, "You're not a baby. I didn't call you a baby. I called you my baby."
My baby.
I said,
Yeah.
"That's a very big difference." And she was like, "Okay, Mummy, why is that?" And I said, "Right, do you know who Granny's baby is?" And she looked a little bit, and she went, "Granny's got a baby." I went, "Mm-hmm." I said, "Next time you see Granny, ask her who her baby is." So she did, and my mum immediately went, "Well, your mum is." She went, "My mum is your baby." And I was like, "Exactly. I'm 52 years old and I'm still her baby." But she acknowledges me as an adult. I'm an adult person. But I said, it's more the term that says this is the person that's going to love you forever, unconditionally. I said, so it's not that you are but it really struck that it was like, oh, as you grow and evolve, we're going to need to make sure that these things are that it's understood, that it's not acknowledging the who you are and who you've grown into and the amazing little person that you now are versus when you were a baby and you need to do those parts. So I'm very conscious as she keeps getting older and she's getting closer to developing even more of who she is and stepping into what she's here for, that you've got to be so respectful of that, haven't you? And I love that kind of throughout all of this, acceptance is the thing that we keep coming back to, because it's easy to say and hard to do. Would that be fair?
That would be very fair. But what I have accepted is that our dogs will always be our babies. And we can call them our babies and that'll be fine. And they won't reject that. So that's good. At least we have that, right, Kim?
Absolutely. We've got one. Albeit it makes me smile now, because while she was bothered about it a few years ago, now if I'll say, "Oh, he's my fur baby," and she'll go, "But I'm your actual baby, aren't I?"
Oh my goodness.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
funny.
You are my non-fur baby. He is my fur baby. You are both my babies.
Yes.
We don't now need to work out which one's more loved. You are both loved equally with all of my heart.
You need to journal that so that you can have that for later when she's a teenager or a young adult.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I've got a little notebook that over the years I've written her little notes. When things have just struck you, and in that particular moment, it's like that was so lovely. And at some point, it would be nice for you to remember this, to go back to kind of be reminded of when you full on sulk because he had more cuddle time than you did.
Yes.
On that one day, all those things where at the moment, she tells me that she's going to live with me forever, and that when she gets married, she'll just take the house on, but I can stay here because I'm going to cook for the rest.
Well, that's a great arrangement.
I'll take that for now, because I've got a feeling that once you're in double digits, Mum's probably not going to be so cool.
No.
She's going to be seriously, can you not come into the playground with me, Mummy?
Yes. Or in my room or in my space. Yes.
So I'm taking every minute of it while we can. And somebody reminded me when it comes to parenting, and I think this is true of whether that you're parenting a human or a fur baby, is the days might be long, but the years are short.
Oh, yes.
The day we can be like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Time yet? Do you have to mark at the postman again? Kind of like get to the end and go, how did we get here? As you said, your two are heading into their 12th year, and you're like, how did that happen? How did all of those years go? And I'm sure equally for your sons, in their 20s, it must on some days feel like it was only yesterday.
Absolutely. And I mean, when I'm spending time with my son in Toronto, or we share the podcast, so we co-host the podcast, I'm so grateful for those moments because I get to spend time with him. And I'm also grateful for the fact that he wants to spend time with me.
Yeah.
And but you're right. I mean, it just goes by so fast. And I look at my older dog. We think he's older of the two, and his face is all white now. And I think, oh my goodness, I try not to think of the time we have left, but the time that we've had and the time that is in the moment. And that's cheesy, I know, but it's true because I know the reality of larger breed dogs, and I can see his decline, and it's progressing. So I'm really, really just trying to stay with him, stay here, and stay in the moment with him.
Well, that's my heart, but please for you, because it's like with anybody we love, we know that there is a finite amount of time, but all we can do is stay present. And the one thing that we keep, whatever, is the memories. Nobody can ever take those away. And I with my little girl, when we lost my dad, I was like, it's really sad. It's heartbreakingly sad. But no one can take away those memories. No one can take away the fact that you will always be able to remember and feel what it felt, or what they'd say, or how they'd look in a moment, because that bit's ours. We get to hold on to that. We get to embrace
so right.
every part of us.
Yes.
And when we have those sad moments, I say to Scarlett, okay, this is not about not thinking about whoever we've lost. This is about choosing how we think about them. So we can stay in this moment and we continue to think about what we've lost, or we can dedicate this moment to their memory and to how they made us feel. Which you want to do.
And you are so right, because I lost my father over 11 years ago, and I remember he was the first person I'd ever lost. And so I didn't know how to deal with those feelings of grief. And I know my mother is still dealing with the grief. He was the only man she was ever with. And so the way that you put it so eloquently, that we have to choose, but when we're in those moments of grief, we can't understand that. So it's people like you and I now who realize that we have to try to help others in those moments, because we will cross paths with people who have grief over dogs, over people, over jobs, over friendships. And it's not always easy to navigate them. And I'm not saying that I'll be perfect the next time it happens, but I have that realization now that memories are what I still have from my father. Being in this space, which was his at one time, is what I have. And so I can continue to create more memories so that I'm here in, with him around me.
Oh, that is, and I believe it to be true. I believe they never leave us, that love never goes, it just changes shape.
Right.
That helps.
Yeah.
And I can't believe where the time's I mean, literally, I've just looked at the time, going, "Oh my goodness, we're nearly at the end, and I've got so much more to chat to you about." But because we are nearly at the end, and people are going into the next show, can you share with us how people can get involved and get in touch with you, and who it is you like to hear from?
Oh goodness, I'm here to. I would love to support people. And so new writers, I want to support them. And if anyone ever has any questions, like, you can visit my website, send me an email, connect with me on Instagram. And I'm also newly on TikTok, and that's an interesting place. But Instagram seems to be my favorite platform to communicate, connect with people. And there's my son. And I also have a podcast. And so we share stories with people about their creativity and how their animals influence their creativity. And so I'm on all the platforms, and people can certainly find me there. And I'm an open book. Pardon the pun, I suppose. But I just want to help and support other writers as well. And women. Let's continue to lift each other up.
Oh, Holly, it's been such a joy to me. Let's
Same.
stay connected and continue the conversation, because I feel like this one got cut short. But I've thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. And I love what you're doing in helping us to understand how to be accepting. I think that's such a gift to the world. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed every moment.
Thank you, me too. And for everybody listening and watching, I hope you found today's episode to be as insightful and inspiring as I have. And until next time, take care.
My Tummy Hurts by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Meet Jackie. She loves recess, running with friends, and laughing on the playground. At school, Jackie tries to play like she always does, but suddenly the pain comes back. Lately, something feels different and her tummy hurts, sometimes a little and sometimes a lot. With the help of a caring teacher, a nurse, her mom, and a kind doctor, Jackie begins to understand what her body is trying to tell her. Sometimes tummy pain is more than a simple bellyache. Some children live with conditions like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Jackie listens to her body. She asks for help. She knows she's not alone. And Jackie finds her way back to running, laughing, and being herself. My Tummy Hurts, a kid's guide to bellyaches and bathroom troubles by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, available on Amazon and in fine bookstores around the world.
In a quiet seaside town in Greece, where sunlight warms the stone paths and the sea whispers nearby, a new adventure begins. Lady Ella and her brother Lord Jack have arrived with an important mission: to teach kindness, patience, and the power of listening. In a hidden alley, a group of forgotten cats feel unseen and unheard, lost in silence and growing misunderstandings, until someone finally takes the time to truly listen. Because when we listen from the heart, loneliness softens, kindness grows, and new friendships begin. This is Book 10 of The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor book series. Find all Dr. Kerbeck's books on Amazon and in fine bookstores worldwide.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/usaglobaltv. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.